from KSAT 12. The 6 o'clock news starts right now.
The city of Brownsville preparing for a presidential visit. President Joe Biden says he's meeting with Border Patrol, law enforcement, and local leaders there.
Our Daniela Ibarra is live in Brownsville tonight. And Daniela, you've been talking to people there today. How are they feeling ahead of the president's visit?
They're feeling shocked and surprised. And Myra and Steve, I want to set the scene for you as to where we are right now. We're at one of the international bridges here in Brownsville, and you can see people walking behind me. This bridge is really a way of life. They use it to go to work, to go to school, and to shop on both sides of the border. Now, we did stop a couple of people earlier today, and many tell me they didn't even know the president was coming. The president announced his trip to Brownsville on Monday. This region has seen surges of migrants in the past. Recently, local leaders say things have been slower. Astrid Dominguez with Good Neighbor Settlement House has noticed the dip. Still, she says the non-governmental organization does what it can to help migrants who cross the Rio Grande. She says the border is a safe place, and she hopes the president takes notice.
I would like the president to know that our city continues to support the welcoming efforts just like any other NGO in the U.S.-Mexico border. We're happy to be a partner with them. We're happy to be a partner with the city. And, we'd like him to see our operation.
Dominguez says she doesn't know if she'll be talking to President Biden tomorrow, but we know one person who for sure will, and that is San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg. He says he wants to talk about policy changes and resources, and we're expecting to talk with him tomorrow after he speaks with the president. In Brownsville, Daniela Ibarra, KSAT 12 News.
Very busy there tonight. Thanks, Daniela. Also happening tomorrow, former President Donald Trump is scheduled to be in Eagle Pass. We have a crew in Eagle Pass right now, and we'll have a preview of Trump's visit tonight on the Night Beat. After more than 5 years under a conservatorship, Southside ISD says the Texas Education Agency is ending its oversight of that school district. Back in 2016, the TEA recommended a conservator be put in place after allegations of mismanagement of funds and abuse of power from some of its board members. A statement from the Southside ISD School Board President Jesse Hernandez says, quote, "The hard work and commitment of the administration, staff, and students have been instrumental in meeting this wonderful achievement."
A grand jury in Uvalde heard from the director of the Department of Public Safety today about the response to the Robb Elementary shooting. Colonel Steve McGraw was in Uvalde for less than 3 hours, testifying in front of the recently convened grand jury. Sources with knowledge of his trip say McGraw insisted on meeting with the grand jury. County District Attorney Christina Mitchell sat that grand jury last month, one day after the Department of Justice released its critical incident report into the failed law enforcement response at Robb Elementary. DPS turned over investigative materials to Mitchell more than a year ago. Now the grand jury is looking over those materials. Berlinda Adiola, stepmother of Amory Joe Garza, is skeptical of McGraw's visit.
I want to hope that he came to do the right thing. In the past, 22 months almost, it's kind of hard to trust anything that McGraw says, unfortunately, but, I'm hoping that he came to do the right thing.
Ultimately, she and many of the other family members are hoping for some of the officers to face criminal charges for their actions or inactions on May 24th. The grand jury process is kept private, so we will not be hearing about the testimony given.
Tonight, San Antonio police have arrested a man who officers say shot a landscaper working at an apartment complex. That shooting happened off of the Highway 90 access road in Old Highway 90 sometime around 10:30 this morning. Here's what we know about it. Just hours after that shooting, police arrested this man, 51-year-old Charles Martin. Investigators say that Martin lives at that complex. We're told that he was angry at the landscapers for blowing leaves toward his car. Police say Martin walked out of his apartment and allegedly shot one of the landscapers at least 10 times. We spoke with the man who lives at these apartments. He tells us that shootings are too common where he lives.
It's not the first time it happened here at all either. Probably since I've lived here already 4 years, probably like the second, third time it's happened here. It's like a ongoing occurrence.
5.
Police say the victim is in critical condition. Martin is now being charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
The fire has taken a heavy toll in one San Antonio neighborhood. 2 homes, 3 cars, all either damaged or destroyed. A pet dog also killed. This is the area we're talking about. It happened on West Knoll near West Military Drive and Highway 90. And as Katrina Weber reports, gusty winds just fanned those flames into a fiery menace.
Despite the urgent work of San Antonio firefighters, this is the relative calm after a firestorm in this West Side neighborhood. Flames began tearing through one home in the 100 block of West Knoll around 7:30 this morning, then quickly spread.
It was engulfed. I'm talking about 20 feet, 30 feet in the air across the whole.
Richard Herrera was about to go to breakfast when he noticed the fire across the street and called 911. His plans blew up after he heard explosions.
I thought a vehicle entered my home. It hit the wall.
Firefighters believe that was the sound of tires popping. The fire also burned through 3 cars and caused major damage to the house next door.
It burned off. You can see one wall that burned off on the exposure side.
Firefighters say they saw the trouble as they approached from miles away. In addition to the material damage here, they say a woman had to be checked out for breathing problems, and they found a pet dog dead. Even more than the flames and the smoke, the wind played a big role in this fire today. And firefighters hope that others will take heed when it comes to realizing the role it can play in causing damage when there's an open flame.
We don't need another East Texas, Panhandle, Texas going on here. So anybody on the outside skirts, just do not burn.
Just total chaos. People coming out of the different homes and stuff.
Richard Herrera definitely doesn't want to see this kind of trouble again. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
And you've heard him talk about the fires up in the Panhandle. Let's get the latest on those fires right now. Crews are battling at least 5 massive wildfires in the Panhandle area. The largest of them, the Smokehouse Creek fire. So far, it's burned about 850,000 acres, making it the second largest fire in Texas history. Residents describe the destruction these fires are causing, and fire crews say the strong winds also making it difficult to control the flames.
There were houses and structures that were burning. There was so much of it going on.
It has been difficult for firefighters to make progress with how rapidly the fire is growing and spreading. So they've been prioritizing life safety, evacuating residents.
Now, the fire's even forcing a nuclear weapons facility in Amarillo to stop operations until further notice. Right now, there are no injuries being reported. Hundreds of thousands of acres.
Yeah, and the winds don't seem to be stopping, Adam.
Yeah, well, the winds are subsiding finally.
Finally, the winds are dying down, and that's good to see. But remember this time yesterday, we were talking about wind gusts of over 60 miles per hour. That makes it impossible to fight and contain these fires. The wind is slowly pumping the brakes now, but I want to give you the latest on the Smokehouse Creek fire, the biggest, the second biggest in Texas history. 850,000 acres, only 3% contained, so likely to keep growing. Grapevine Creek fire, 30,000 acres, estimated 60% contained. And the Windy Deuce fire, that's just northwest of Amarillo, estimated 142,000 acres, and that's 30% contained. That's the latest information I got from the Forest Service. Notice the wind still steady at 14 miles per hour. Not exactly beneficial. We'd like it to be calm, but a much better situation in the Panhandle. And we have our north wind steady at 17. We did gust to 46 miles per hour earlier today. The wind is not going to be as bad tonight, but you'll still notice it. Notice wind gusts even through sunrise tomorrow, around 20 to 25 miles per hour, and then really simmering down. By noon tomorrow, the wind is going to be out of here. We'll talk about the big temperature change. If you thought today was cold, get ready for tomorrow. See you in a bit.
Thanks, Adam. Let's check out traffic right now. This is going into downtown, I-10 and Frio, usually a trouble spot. It is right now. You see a big traffic jam there on the eastbound lanes of I-10. Both the upper and lower decks as they come together as you head towards downtown San Antonio.
Have the embers finally cooled from that fight between the city of San Antonio and the firefighters union? We will soon find out. The union contract expires at the end of the year, and negotiations for a replacement begin tomorrow.
Last time around, a deal came only after an extended legal fight and a firefighter-led campaign to change the city charter. But the union has a new leader now who tells Garrett Berger they've got a better relationship with the city. And this time around, the union has a new priority.
4 years after the last contract was finalized, the president of the San Antonio Professional Firefighters Association says the union has been working diligently to establish a healthy relationship with the city, opposed to the unhealthy one it clearly had previously.
That wasn't good for the city of San Antonio, and it was also not good for firefighters and paramedics.
Especially for their pay. The union's current contract was wrapped up in a years-long fight over health care benefits and an evergreen clause that could extend the contract's terms a decade past its expiration. The firefighters went more than 5 years without a raise as they fought the city in the courts, at the ballot box, and at the negotiating table, led by previous union president Chris Steele. Finally, in early 2020, a panel of arbitrators handed the city and union a new contract. But while firefighters still ended up with more expensive health benefits, similar to the police union, which made a deal with the city earlier on, they got lower pay bumps than the cops, despite going longer without raises.
It was almost perceived as a form of punishment because it was so bad.
Right now, firefighters' pay is only about 10% higher than it was when their previous contract ended nearly a decade ago. While inflation has been nearly triple that.
When you actually sit down and put pencil to paper, we've been taking a pay cut every year over the last decade.
Jones says that's costing the department, too.
We've seen a decline in people leaving other departments to come to us, and we've seen an increase in our talent leaving for other departments.
While he wouldn't tell us how much they're shooting for, Jones says both the union and top city leaders are cautiously optimistic they can strike a deal quickly and hopefully painlessly.
It doesn't appear that anybody wants to revisit the past.
The city didn't make anyone available for us to interview ahead of tomorrow's negotiations, which begin at 10 a.m. here at the International Center downtown. They're open to the public, and we'll be here too. You can check out our coverage on KSAT.com. I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Early voting for the March primary ends on Friday, then Election Day is March 5th. It may seem like we're always in campaign season these days, but when it's a presidential election year, there are a lot more moving parts. In a new KSAT Explains, we're answering what is a primary versus a caucus, a delegate versus an electoral vote. And if you vote Democrat or Republican now, does that mean anything later?
Often can they change the rules?
Too many times. They can change it as much as they want, right? And they have, right?
A new KSAT Explains on all things elections is still ahead right here on the news at 6.
Also still ahead on the news at 6, the Grand Marshal for this year's Cesar E. Chavez March announced today. Find out who it'll be and what this year's theme is next.
And before we go to break, a quick look outside with live cam. That colder weather is on the way. Meteorologist Adam Caskey will have your full forecast and the timing of that after the break.
I'm Dylan Collier. Coming up, his inaccurate reporting ended his law enforcement career and led to him being convicted of tampering with records. Now, a former Bexar County Sheriff's deputy talks about the stigma of having a criminal record.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell will step down as the chamber's Republican leader in November, but he will continue to serve in the Senate. The Kentucky Republican is the longest serving party leader in the Senate from either party. McConnell announced his decision on the Senate floor this morning.
Father Time remains undefeated. I'm no longer the young man sitting in the back, hoping colleagues would remember my name. It's time for the next generation of leadership.
McConnell also said he has total clarity and peace about stepping down and believes he's helped preserve the ideals that he believes in.
Back here at home, the family of Willie Velasquez will serve as Grand Marshal for the 28th annual Cesar E. Chavez March. Velasquez played a huge role in politics back in the 70s and 80s. He made it his mission to help get Latinos to the polls.
He was the one who really reshaped our thought about getting out to vote. Su voto es su voz. Your vote is your voice. That's where that comes from. So we recognize the family of Willie Velasquez today.
The theme of this year's march is Let the Spirit Flourish and Grow. The march will take place on Saturday, March 23rd. Aside from the march, there will be music, art celebrations, and a canned food donation drive. The march will start at the intersection of Guadalupe and Brazos and end at Hemisphere.
Let's talk about that weather out there. We know that we have cold weather on the way, but that wind was something else.
Yeah, I felt it out there, Adam.
Oh, definitely felt it. I'm hoping It's the kind of wind that shakes loose the last of those oak leaves that need to fall.
Get them out of here.
I've been cleaning them up, and you know what? I'm ready just to do one more run and be done with them. Filled up the bed of the pickup truck twice with mulched leaves to take to the brush site. All right, let's talk about the temperatures, though. Our temperature trend. Tomorrow, even colder than today. Jacket weather all day long, winter-like. 51 for the high. So think of it this way. Most of tomorrow will be spent in the 40s and then right near 50 degrees. By Friday, we rebound quickly to 73 for the high. Then this weekend, we're right up near 80 on Saturday, and we'll stay in the 70s to near 80 through the weekend and even on into next week. Today, 55 for the low so far. We'll have our official low right before midnight, and this is a little deceiving. Our high temperature of 71, that was at 6:41 a.m. Then the front hit, and the warmest we got this afternoon was 63 degrees. So basically our afternoon high was 63 this afternoon. Notice temperatures right now already down in the 40s in the hill country. Kerrville 48, Fredericksburg 45. I should say Rock Springs 45, Fredericksburg at 46. You get elsewhere, we're generally in the 50s. Farther to the north, mostly 40s, a few 30s out there. Alpine at 34. Get up to where near the wildfires in Amarillo, Chile at 46. And Lubbock right now at 43. Very dry air there as well. Remember, the colder the air, the drier it is, because cold air can't hold as much moisture as warmer air. But we've all had the cold front. The north wind has obviously kicked in. That happened first thing this morning. Tomorrow morning, we're going to wake up to temperatures in the mid to upper 30s in the hill country. Even Rio Medina about 38, Bandera, Pipe Creek 36, Bulverde, Bernie 35, around San Antonio closer to 43 degrees. So still feeling that chill in the air tomorrow morning. By noon, we're only at 50, and then by 4 p.m., 51. So the afternoon basically right around 50 degrees, and we won't have the sun to help us out. Low gray clouds throughout the day. If we're lucky, we could see a few sprinkles, but that's going to be the exception. Unfortunately, I don't see much in terms of good rain chances in our future. Tomorrow afternoon is staying in the upper 40s in parts of the hill country, even Bernie 48, 49 Comfort. Meanwhile, 53 Nixon, Smiley, and Pleasanton as well. I want to remind you, our average last freeze in San Antonio is February 24th, but we have had one as late as April 3rd. From what I'm seeing right now, odds are significantly against another freeze coming our way. Another little cool down, sure. But another freeze, as every day goes by, it becomes more unlikely. Rain chances, 20% Sunday through Wednesday of next week because of some isolated storms that could develop. There's a little swirl in Arizona right now. That disturbance is going to throw some energy our way. Most of the rain is going to stay to the north of us in central Texas. Around here, we could see some of those isolated storms again Sunday through Wednesday, but we don't expect much in terms of development or even coverage. So unfortunately, the whole potential just isn't all that high in terms of overall rainfall accumulation, and we don't anticipate any drought denting rain. Dew points right now, 20s to near 30. We're feeling that dry air. That will change slowly by the end of this weekend. By Sunday, you'll notice the humidity and mugginess back in the air. And that's also going to help out with that 20% chance, just a 20% chance of some of those pop-up storms Sunday through the middle of next week. Notice the next few mornings, chilly, definitely even jacket weather Friday morning at 43 degrees at the bus stop. Your new eclipse factoid coming up at 6:45.
All right.
And the countdown.
Thank you, Adam.
All right, they took down the defending state champ in their last game.
Yep.
But they still have work to do at Brennan, Larry.
Yeah, the Brennan girls basketball team needs 2 more victories at state, and they will win the whole darn 6A enchilada. Coming up, the Bears are ready to face their next opponent. And this hip check last night between Texas and Texas Tech led to fans throwing items on the court. Coming up.
Listen to me. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. Nothing else on the floor. Am I clear?
Texas Tech men's head basketball coach Grant McCaslin had to ask Tech fans to stop throwing items on the court after things got heated between his Red Raiders and the Texas Longhorns in big board sports. After cutting down the net Saturday at Northside Sports Gym, the Brennan Bears are now getting ready for the UIL Class 6A state semifinals, where they'll play the South Grand Prairie Warriors. Brennan beat Clark 80-73 in double overtime to knock off the defending state champion in girls high school basketball. The Bears are thrilled to make the Final Four, and they are ready to show out.
Everyone's really excited, really anxious. We're hungry, working hard, and yeah, we're ready.
We never look past any game, no matter what we're in.
Oh, by luck. We made our own luck, and so I think we're gonna surprise a lot of people. Anybody that has ever doubted us, I think we're gonna show up and surprise some people. So we're excited to do that.
The Bears are 2 wins away from claiming the ultimate trophy. South Grand Prairie and Brennan will play in the Class 6A state semis Friday night, 8:30 at the Alamo Dome. Now, speaking of, the court is down and the stage is all set at the Dome for the 2024 UIL Girls Basketball State Championships. The game action starts tomorrow morning at 8:30 with the Class 1A semifinals. The Bernie Greyhounds will face Canyon Friday at 3 p.m. the Class 4A semis, and Brennan, as you heard, has the late game Friday night, 8:30 in the Class 6A semis. All right, the Texas Tech matchup is already intense, and last night in Lubbock during the men's basketball game, fans threw objects, including water bottles, on the court after the Horns' Brock Cunningham delivered a hard check to Darion Williams, knocking him out of bounds. Cunningham was ejected with a flagrant foul, too, and Texas Tech was given an administrative technical for the fans' behavior, and that's why Red Raiders head coach Grant McCaslin grabbed the mic and asked the fans to stop.
When you have to go talk on the mic, you're talking to 15,000+ people, but really you're talking to a couple people that are doing things that are completely unacceptable, And you could tell when I'd finally communicated clearly, like, this can't happen, a lot of people were applauding because they know it's not what we need to do.
Order was quickly restored. I thought Grant did a great job getting on the microphone and talking to the crowd and settling everybody down a little bit. Some coaches won't do that. He did that. Kudos to him, proud of him. Proud of Grant. I coach Grant. He's a man of a lot of character and a good man who's done a great job coaching his team this year.
Coach Terry said he told the officials he was considering taking his team off the floor before order was restored. And I didn't mention in the script that Texas won the game.
Yeah. And winning a game in Lubbock is not easy.
It's not easy at all.
Yeah.
Wild night. Thank you, Larry. Coming up next, we are talking primaries, delegates, and yes, that debate over the good old electoral college. KSAT Explains is next.
Early voting underway for the March primary, and in a presidential election year, there are a lot more moving parts.
Yeah, what's the difference in a caucus and a primary? Who gets to be a delegate? What do they actually do? It's all in this KSAT Explains. Republican and Democrat, caucus and primary, Iowa and New Hampshire. Why is it so important?
Because it's the very first, and because it proves your organizational skills.
Since 1972, Iowa has held the first voting contest in presidential election years, a caucus.
Caucuses are kind of fascinating because it's a throwback to pre-modern America.
What's different about a caucus is that you actually have to show up. You have to be there at a meeting, and you have to hang around for a while. You can't just show up, vote, and leave.
I think Iowa has something like close to 3,000 precincts across the state. So imagine 3,000 different precinct meetings in which people are showing up, voicing their support for somebody. It is a highly intensive process to get people to participate.
A primary is the form of election that Texans and voters in the majority of states are used to.
A primary election is the voters' opportunity to vote for the candidates they would like their party to put on the ballot in November.
Voters show up, cast their ballot, and leave. The person who wins the vote in both the Republican and Democratic primaries will be on the ballot for the general election in November. That election decides who takes office. The rules of a primary election are laid out by individual states and the political parties within those states.
How often can they change the rules?
To many times. They can change it as much as they want, right? And they have, right?
New Hampshire is usually the first state to hold a Democratic primary in the race for president.
New Hampshire, in fact, has on the books a law that says we're always going to be the first primary state.
But not in 2024.
President Biden did not want them to go first. And so the DNC passed something that said South Carolina is going to go first.
New Hampshire still followed its own law, though. The state held the first Democratic primary this year.
But they were stripped of all their delegates. So they have no delegates to go to the Democratic convention because they broke the Democratic Party rules by going ahead of a state that was tagged, in this case, South Carolina, to go first.
So what's a delegate?
You're representing your state at a national convention.
Who becomes the nominee is really based on the number of delegates.
Normally it's people who are well connected to the party, who have a lot of roots in the party, who have done a lot of work for a campaign, primarily for campaigns. It's a reward for some people.
Others become delegates because they're elected leaders within their party. Delegates carry out their duties at a convention, first at the state level, then at the national level. National conventions are those huge events full of pomp and circumstance where states carry their banners and delegates voice their support for the nominee their state chose in the primary. Then there's usually lots of balloons and confetti. But before we get there, voters need to go here.
Texas is a true open primary state.
We have a Democratic primary and a Republican primary.
You don't register to vote as a Republican or Democrat. What you do instead is you decide, am I going to vote in the Democratic or Republican primary? But you're not beholden to being a member of that party.
But if there is a runoff in a primary race, you have to vote within the same party in the runoff that you did in the primary.
So in other words, a person can't vote in the Republican primary and then vote in the Democratic primary runoff. So this is the DS200, also known as a ballot scanner or precinct counter.
There are a few different ways to vote in Texas. Guadalupe County, like Bexar County, uses a hybrid method that incorporates both a digital system and a paper ballot. You make your selections on a screen and get a printout.
It prints their ballot, and now they're ready to take it over to the DS200. Now, normally in an election, all of this would be sealed. You wouldn't be able to see all of this.
To cast your vote, Texas requires you to show a government-issued photo ID. That could be a driver's license, a passport, military ID, even a license to carry. Your voter registration card, though, you don't need that. What you cannot have out at the polls is your phone. It's considered a recording device. Also, no campaign materials, but you can take a sample ballot with you.
Sample ballots are wonderful. Sample ballots is a chance for a voter to prepare themselves for what they're going to see when they get to the polls. They can even mark them and bring them in already marked. Not everyone knows that, but it's totally legal.
There's also been some confusion about this too. These machines?
Let me explain that it doesn't connect to the internet. It does not connect to the internet legally.
It's not on somebody's Wi-Fi.
No Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth. It's not allowed legally to be connected to any of those things. And when I print election results election night, I actually print them. I trot them up to my office. I scan them into my computer to upload them to the internet.
Hayes says that goes for any election, primary or general.
And one thing we haven't talked about is also the Electoral College.
Oh yes, let's do that.
The Electoral College was a compromise that came about a long time ago to really make sure that small states still had a voice in the process.
So that the biggest states with the biggest populations don't determine every election.
This is not about whoever gets the most votes, right?
No matter the candidate that wins the popular vote, they still have to get 270 electoral votes. Texas has 40 electoral votes. Where's that number come from? It's the number of congressional districts in a state plus votes for each senator. In Texas, that's 38 plus 2.
Most states, winner take all.
It's winner take all.
Which means that whoever wins the general in Texas, they get all of our
electoral votes.
But the majority of states, including the biggest in the U.S., like Texas, California, Florida, and New York, are solidly red or blue. That's why swing states are so critical to a campaign. They're the states that could swing either way, blue or red. There's just not that many of them these days.
This time around, folks from both sides, on the Republican and the Democratic side, say that it's 5 to maybe 7 states. So Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, maybe North Carolina are the only states that are going to matter. So it's not a good thing for the country that most of the country doesn't really matter. I hate to say that, but that's the system we have. And if you're a campaign, you got to play the rules of what's in front of you.
That's why I think the Electoral College is fascinating yet frustrating. Designed to keep a handful of the big states from deciding everything, but now we're at a point where a handful of small states decide a whole lot of things.
Well, and it's not, I mean, Donald Trump did not win the popular vote, but won the Electoral College. That's how he became president. Joe Biden did win the popular vote and did win the Electoral College. So it's very, unique, the system that we have.
Yeah.
And you brought up the state of Nebraska.
Yes.
They have 3 different districts, and so the entire winner of the state of Nebraska does not get all the delegates there. They're one of the few states where it doesn't happen. They have 3 different districts.
Right, so you could get a portion of electoral votes, not winner take all like in Texas. I think Nebraska and Maine are the only 2 states that do it that way.
By the way, Myra and I have election night coverage on KSAT.com, KSAT Plus, and our KSAT YouTube page from 7 till 9-ish. Yeah, next Tuesday.
It's a live stream. That's the best part about it. We'll see how long it goes. Okay, before that, though, we want you to get out and vote. If you want to check out a sample ballot, which remember, you can take with you if you want, you can check out both the Democratic and Republican sample ballots by scanning this QR code. That will take you to our Vote 2024 page on KSAT.com. That's also where we have a list of voting locations, hours they'll be open, all things you need to know before heading to the polls. We'll be right back.
In the last year, home insurance premiums have skyrocketed. In some cases, those monthly costs have risen by as much as 40%.
Jen Sullivan looks at what's causing the price hike and what homeowners can do to try to save some money.
When disaster strikes, home insurance is there to help cover some of the costs.
Your home is one of your largest assets, and in the insurance industry, it's wise and prudent to protect that asset.
But the price of that protection is becoming more expensive. Home insurance broker Travis Hodges says he's seeing an average increase of 27% year over year. And in some cases, the cost of insuring your home can go even higher.
We've heard as much as 40.
So what's causing the price hike? Hodges says there are a few reasons. 1. Changing weather patterns and events, such as tornadoes and wildfires. 2. The cost of materials has gone up, so it costs more to fix any damage. 3. Property values have risen. Let's look at those numbers for a moment. In January, the median home sale price was $379,100, according to the National Association of Realtors. That's 5.1% higher than January of last year, and it's the 7th month in a row home prices have gone up.
Everything else has gone up. Insurance has just mirrored that and been proportionate.
So what can you do to save money? If you're willing to increase your deductible by as much as $500, Hodges says you can save anywhere from 15 to 20% and shop around for different policies.
We actually do that proactively for our clients. Every time there's a renewal, we let them know what other options are out there.
And remember, flood insurance is a separate plan. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
All right, look outside with live cam. It is getting chillier out there. Tomorrow's the really cold day, Adam.
Yeah, really feeling like winter. To put in perspective, the average high is 70 degrees, and we're going to be about 20 degrees lower than that tomorrow. Luckily, not as much wind, but it will be very winter-like. And then temperatures do give us a good, quick rebound. I'll have an update on the wildfires in the Panhandle and countdown to the total solar eclipse coming right up.
All right, we continue to watch the wildfires and get ready for the cold.
Yes, that cold is coming, Adam.
It is. The cold's really settling in. We felt the chill today. Tomorrow's going to be even colder, and we are
40.
Yeah, move out of the way. We're not 0 days away. If I said no. We're 40 days away from the total solar eclipse. Here's your factoid of the day. The next total solar eclipse to hit the continental U.S. is in 2044, and that's up in Montana in North Dakota, so quite some time. These total solar eclipses, especially over or near where you live, are not common. It's one reason why this is such a big deal and we're so into it. I do want to talk about the wildfires up in the Panhandle, and to put it in perspective, the largest wildfire in Texas history, in our recorded history here, since we've been keeping the types of measurements that we do now and types of observations, was back in 2006, and it was 907,000 acres. A little over 907,000 acres. And there were about a dozen fatalities with that. So far, the Smokehouse Creek fire is at 850,000 acres and only 3% contained. So unfortunately, it could make a run at being the largest in recorded history. Then we have several other fires in the area that are 30% and 60% contained. It's not a good situation. Now, the wind did carry the smoke southward earlier today. I know we heard from several folks who noticed a little hint of smoke in the air, a little odor of it that has since been blown southward and will continue to be carried out of here and into Mexico and dispersed in the atmosphere. And then you're not going to notice any smoke because of a shift in the wind tomorrow. Notice the winds right now shifting out of the southeast up in the Panhandle, so it's pushing that smoke northward. Around here, we still have that north wind, 25 miles per hour, our most recent gusts. And I think through the night, we'll see gusts between 20 and 25 miles per hour. A few could reach up closer to 30 miles per hour, but not as gusty tonight. Still breezy, but not as bad. 40s in North Texas, 50s around here. You go south, Cotulla at 64. That's the exception. But tomorrow morning, low 40s in San Antonio. Will be about 42, 43, and in the 30s in the hill country, but above freezing in the hill country. 35 Bernie, 38 Timberwood Park, 44 Elmendorf, Von Army at 42 at 7 a.m. Then here's the key. By 4 p.m. tomorrow, we're only near 50 degrees. There's a look at that temperature trend. 6 a.m. in San Antonio, 43. By noon, we're 50. And then we pretty much stay there the rest of the afternoon, right near 50 degrees. And that's with low clouds. Expect a gray day tomorrow, not getting any help from the sun to warm you up. Still cool Friday morning in the low 40s, and then we quickly rebound into the 70s Friday afternoon. And we'll be in the 70s to right near 80 this weekend, even on into next week. And those 20% chances you see there Sunday through Wednesday, just a few isolated storms are possible. We're not expecting anything good or drought denting yet.
Okay, thank you, Adam.
All right, a faith coin and a Wonka scam coming up in your buzz next.
In the buzz today, George Michael is now immortalized on a British coin. The Royal Mint has issued a new collectible of the late singer. It features a headshot of Michael with his famous hair, that leather jacket, the earring, and those aviator sunglasses, set against an engraving of the refrain from his hit single, Faith.
The collection part of the Music Legends series, which has also honored David Bowie, Elton John, and Queen. The coin available in different finishes and weights. It ranges in price from $20 to $3,500.
Something for all kinds of collectors.
Like the coin. Yeah, it was not a world of pure imagination, more like a world of pure disappointment. Willie's chocolate experience at an event in Glasgow, Scotland was marked as an immersive experience, like Van Gogh, the immersive experience. It promised optical marvels and extraordinary props. Those aren't extraordinary props.
That's not this.
Yeah.
But attendees were let down by a sparsely decorated warehouse that did not match the ad. The event advertised chocolate fountains, performances by Oompa Loompas, interactive experiences, all for $44. One father said that kids received 2 jelly beans each and a quarter cup of lemonade, and there was no chocolate. The organizer apologized and offered full refunds.
Yeah, that's no immersive experience there.
Not at all. That's a lousy one.
Shame on them. Did you see the guy playing Willy Wonka?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked more like Kid Wonka. We'll be right back.
Chilly for a day. Actually, you're going to need a jacket all day long. 43 in the morning tomorrow, then only near 50 in the afternoon. Gray, few late day sprinkles, then back to sunshine and more spring-like conditions Friday through the weekend. And if we're lucky, we could pop up a few thunderstorms Sunday through the middle of next week. We'll keep you updated on how that forecast changes in the days ahead.
Just a day.
Just a day.
So crazy. It's just one day. 50 degrees.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you on the Night Beat at 10.